Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Kevin Chambers and this is the EMA's Health and Safety Podcast. Really pleased to have you along with us today. We're going to be talking about the challenges that health and safety reps are currently facing. And our guest today is Craig Bleakley. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you.
We're really pleased to have you here with us.
Thank you. Looking forward to having a good chat.
Good. Well, tell us, just before we get into the topic, tell us a little bit about your health and safety journey. How did you become a health and safety professional?
Yeah, my journey has been quite an interesting one. Started with just true risk management. I was involved in scouting and the Mountain Safety Council for many years, 10, 12 years, up to the national training team in scouting. So really involved risk for a long time in terms of the access, the management of, and the preventative of course.
Yep.
I was at Auckland Council as the visitor management, the recreation services visitor team lead, and just because I was interested in that space, decided to volunteer to become a health and safety rep. So I came to the EMA way back in mid-2000s and had a brilliant experience with an awesome facilitator, Leon, who took me through my stage 1 rep course.
Yep.
And it was like the sort of, bubble went off in my head and the light went up and realised that this is actually something that aligns with my values, my interests. I still maintained my job through that time. A year and a half later, I then had the opportunity to do the level 2 course and luckily got Leon again and we reconnected in that time. And I was able to speak to him and say, look, this is actually something that's really interesting to me. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy both actually just the topic, but also just this environment of presenting or facilitating the training. Knowing I'd done a lot of training externally as well. And through that, I was then invited to join his company, which was a safety assist consultancy that did a lot of health and safety training through the EMA. And so within a short period of time, I was upskilled quickly and joined the EMA training team alongside assisting and running this health and safety consultancy. Started to provide level 1, level 2 and a variety of other one-day courses for the EMA. That was 11 years ago.
It's going back a while.
Yeah. And so, over the years, I don't do as many as I used to, but it's still a number a year I'm able to take. And, there's been hundreds and hundreds of health and safety reps that have gone through my classes. And it's quite an honour to be able to be part of their health and safety journey.
Nice. Okay. So we've chosen to talk about health and safety reps today. It's a role that you don't get paid to do. Nope. You volunteer to do. Well, you get voted, I suppose. And some people are shoulder tapped to do it. Some people put their hands up, they're like keen as. Regardless of the journey of how someone becomes a rep, what are some of the challenges then that reps are facing today? We're 10 years on to the Act coming out, 11 years on. There's still issues. What do you see the space being?
Yeah, there are. And there are issues or concerns, or at least challenges that are being consistent from day one when I started training and even, late last year. The same challenges are coming through. And I think it's really good to be able to call these out because they are consistent across any type of company, any type of industry. Right. And they are really detrimental to the effect of the rep and their potential impacts that they would have on that workplace. Okay. And the first key one is I call it unclear role expectations of that rep. When a rep comes back from training, back to the workplace on that they've had 2 days of amazing training, awesome times.
They're super enthusiastic.
They're back and they go, yes, I know what I'm going to do now. I'm going to save all the people and change the world.
Yeah.
And they rock up at the workplace and no one really knows, that hasn't been on the course, what this role means. Okay. What are they now responsible for? Yep. What are they allowed to, either illegally allowed to if they've done the QA unit standard, or just in general should be expected to be allowed. And this is both from management, what management's reaction to them, as well as their peers and anyone else, their team leads, their supervisors in that space. So the role of the rep, it's a real key module in the training course.
Yes, it is.
And it's one that I really, really try and focus on because people just don't, both the individual, but also the company doesn't actually know what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Can you give us an example there of where a hiccup might occur?
Great. So the first one is, and I use the phrase when I ask the question, the role of the representative, and I ask the class the question and we get interesting answers back. And it shows that there's a lot of ignorance out there. And I say really clear, it's in the name. Yep. You are there solely, purely to represent your fellow workers. That's your role. Mm-hmm. And if anyone tries to come to you to say you are now responsible for, you are now in charge of, you are now needing to do these roles or these functions that really should be done by a health and safety advisor, manager, business partner, you need to say no. You will have knowledge that most of your peers won't. You will have confidence of actually stepping in and doing something. But your role is to represent your workers in all matters of health and safety. And if anyone ever comes to you and says, look, you're under this role, I now need you to do this or take on this responsibility, you need to say no.
Yeah. So what are the things that they would be doing to represent their colleagues and peers?
So this is all around ensuring that the voice of the worker is being communicated correctly to the places that it needs to be heard in. So first up, the Health and Safety Committee. And that's the perfect first place that the voice is heard. But if a worker needs to be reporting something about their manager or about their workplace, that might need a faster resolution than a Health and Safety Committee, which might be weeks away. The rep is there to represent the worker, be there as a support worker, but also on the flip side, needs to be there to represent and to support workers coming back from injury, coming back from time off through illness. Needs to be the unbiased conduit of ensuring health and safety reality is being fed to the decision makers.
Right. So we've got that gap between workers imagined and
this
workers done.
It's the phrase to use. And it's a perfect thing. I use that in the course because that is the reality. The rep should be able to see what work is reality, what is the work being done, and can challenge the worker's imagined mentality if there's a disconnect.
I like your use of the word conduit. Being a rep then will require some good communication skills.
Oh, communication is the key, Kevin. Yeah. They really, really are. And one of the points I talked about was the cross-cultural communication. Because often in the larger workplaces in New Zealand in particular, there are some quite diverse workforces. And as it stands, some cultures really are not comfortable in challenging authority, challenging management, and will be more accepting or will just do work in a way that they themselves may know is unsafe or they're not comfortable with, but are not comfortable in challenging the management component. So a rep that's aware of that, embedded in that space, has got a critical role to represent the actual reality of that voice and be able to communicate that through.
Particularly if that voice doesn't want to be represented.
100%. Yeah. That's a good point. The other challenge in terms of the insufficient support around who is actually going to be the rep. One of the really interesting things that right from the start, you go around that horrible, introduce yourself, what's your name, where are you from? I ask one of the questions I always ask them to do is, what is your health and safety responsibilities? And they say, well, I'm a rep or a committee meeting and this is a member and this is why I'm here. And I always ask them, did you volunteer or were you voluntold? And if you did volunteer, did you actually fulfill the legislative requirements of having an election? Were there more than one person that actually were volunteering? And out of all of the, if you took a look at a full percentage, I would say probably 2% of all members of my classes were actually elected onto the process.
Only 2%.
Only 2%. We've gone through an election. Normally libraries, council librarians, they love being a rep, and there's often an election in that space.
Right.
I would say then 50% would be volunteering, and they were the only person that volunteered.
Okay, but they volunteered nonetheless. So there's an interest in taking on the role.
Absolutely. And then though probably close to half were told to do the role. You need to go to this course next week. What for? Well, you just need to be there. And so straight away they're on the back foot of going, I'm being told to come to this course. I don't want to be here. I don't know why I'm here. So it's my job to actually go, cool, hey, fantastic, you're here. Let's have a great couple of days. At least you're going to get a good lunch anyway. But let's just make the opportunity to say, look, you've actually got a cool opportunity here to make both yourself and your workplace a little bit better and safer.
So as a good facilitator, you're able to articulate that to them well. I know you are because I've seen you do it. What support then, and we're talking about the challenges that they're facing. So one challenge, as you articulated, is maybe there isn't enough support for the rep. What support could or should their supervisors, their managers be providing them with?
3 key things I see there's a lack of. One is just time to do their role.
Okay.
And that's not necessarily, there's time for meetings, that's important, but for the real case for a rep is actually just time away from their normal job to go around and just be able to talk to their peers.
Right.
And They can do that, of course, in downtime and smoko and lunch and do that. But often people aren't engaged and don't want to talk about work in that space. But having a little bit of time that I can go off my shift, or I can just leave my work for a little bit of time, once a week, once a month, once a fortnight, whatever, and just go around and have some chats.
Yeah.
And be seen, be visible
Yeah.
to my workers. They know that I exist. They can come find me and be proactive if they need to, but I'm being proactive and speaking to them.
Yeah.
So there's that component.
Okay.
There is access to information. Can be tricky for a rep to, especially using a digital system, to maybe get access to hazard reports, to risk registers, to accident outcomes, to action databases, to really see, hey, my team member put an action in last week or logged in near miss. What's actually happening with that? Because they haven't heard anything. Oh no, you're not allowed to see that. That's only for the managers to see.
So that's an interesting thing. If I just stop you there. So one reason why they're not allowed is because perhaps the organisation's like, well, your role, your seniority isn't high enough to have access to that information.
Yep.
Is it possible then that could be because those supervisors in that organisation don't understand the importance of the rep having access?
Great example. Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Key. But also they're unaware of the legislative requirements that actually demand a rep has access to information for them to be able to do their role.
And they won't have access to everything, but
of course not.
But I think you gave a couple of good examples of things that they should have access to.
100%. Yeah. Things like if I'm doing health monitoring or we're doing atmospheric testing, I should as a rep have easy access to say, hey, it was actually really cold last week in the warehouse, or hey, that new machine is getting really, really loud. Can I check out the decibel readings that we've got in the workplace? Oh, no, we're not going to provide that to you. Well, actually, no, I'm allowed to ask for this and you need to provide this to me.
So you mentioned we've got lack of support and we've got access to information. And, from what you were saying, this is quite prevalent and has been consistently so. Are there other challenges that they're facing?
I think one other key challenge that I've seen as the workplace has changed and the focus on new risks that are coming out are more prevalent is just ongoing training. Of new things. And in particular, I'm thinking about psychosocial risks. Bullying, harassment, well-being, and all of those components. As a health and safety professional myself, I know the noise that this is now generating in the industry as a whole. There's still significant gaps of knowledge company-wide around where does the responsibility sit in this space? Is it HR? Is it health and safety? Is it combined? But that has to feed through to those supervisors, team leads, and the reps to know what good looks like. What should they be expecting and holding their company to account on? And so if there is an absence of knowledge in that particular space as the example, the rep cannot be as effective in their role because they can't pick up on when there is a lack of a control or a reaction by management hasn't been appropriate. So that training component is really, really key.
They won't know what they won't know. Legislation says that reps are allowed to have 2 days a year. So surely they can spend 1 or 2 of those 2 days doing that sort of training. Is it then that maybe they're not aware that that's a good thing to get trained on? I mean, obviously you do your rep 1, what it's traditionally called. You do your rep 1 in your first year, you do your rep 2 in your second year. What course would you consider to be a great third year option?
That's when it starts getting into some quite specific industry or topic stuff. So contractor management, great. Incident investigation. Again, remember the rep's not responsible for, but 100% can assist the person responsible for in that space.
Assisting them, that would be good if they knew a little bit about it.
Of course it would. It'd be fantastic. Contractor management to a degree, hazardous substances. It's all around improving the knowledge of. And we've seen a number of reps that start to love the industry and love the very topic and move into health and safety advisor roles, business partner roles. And it's a beautiful journey, as I did. And it's a really clear journey that I could progress through, even through the EMA, moving into level 4, moving into level 6, the diploma course. Then the world's your oyster in that space. And so many people, I'm sure, that have started on that journey started as a rep. But they need to be aware of that opportunity.
What would you say to someone then who is umming and ahhing about whether they should become a rep?
For me, there's no disadvantage. In reality, there is some. The negative, and I'll talk about the negative too, I know that's not your answer, but where I've seen people struggling to make that commitment is when they are worried that they will be seen maybe as a narc or a grass, by their peers. You're going to tell on me that I'm doing this thing stupidly. I'm going to hurt myself. Well, actually, any good fellow co-worker,
a friend would tell.
This is my point. Yeah, this is exactly the case. So no one should be worried about that, because in the day, people don't go to work to get hurt. Yeah. And so if I can stop a worker from getting hurt, even if they get in trouble, but I'd much prefer they get in trouble than lose a hand or an eye or kill themselves. Yep. So, I don't care about that. That's actually important. Yep. And then worried about becoming a rep, I'll be seen as by management as a troublemaker, as the noisy, really squeaky wheel that just keeps on causing issues and making me spend money on your equipment. Okay. Again, if that's done in good faith, which is, again, a key component of the training, understanding what good faith is. And if I'm reporting in good faith, communicating in good faith, I'm doing this for the right reasons, I should not be worried about those two potential negatives. So then on the flip side, the good things about this is, as a health and safety professional, I know, based on reporting, that people reporting back to me, either reps, but when I was a consultant company that I dealt with, people are still alive today because of work that I've done. It's a pretty damn good feeling.
That's a nice feeling
to have it as a job. And whilst a standard rep may never have the opportunity, maybe they will. Yeah. And whether it's just simply improving a process, talking about a dangerous piece of equipment, or using one of their superpowers they get by fulfilling the unit standard and instructing someone to not work, or issuing a provisional improvement notice, that starts getting really, really powerful. And it's not about going, I'm better than you, I'm more special than you. Yeah. It's just around my clarity of what good, safe looks like is so much better potentially than someone else that hasn't done the training or doesn't have that mentality.
Yeah. Okay. So put your hand up, people. Get stuck into it.
Yeah.
An organisation then that's looking at, perhaps they've increased in size. I think anything under 19, you don't need a rep.
No, that's changed now, Kevin.
So good.
So now,
no
matter what the size are.
Doesn't matter the size, as long as you've had 5 staff members saying that they want a rep, it has to happen.
Yep, so that restriction was removed last year. So,
so, and thank you for correcting me on that. Okay, so let's imagine I'm an organisation that hasn't had a rep, because it wasn't required. Yep. And now I've got the situation where we've got some staff members and they've gone, actually, we would like to have someone represent us. Yeah. How should that organisation be feeling? Should they be elated that the staff is engaged, or is it possible that they might be a bit nervous about what that means? Let's see if we can dispel some of the myths.
They're going to feel both things. Yep. A good company, it's going to come down to where they potentially sit on their risk matrix themselves. Okay. Yep. So if I'm really risk averse, then having a rep may actually fulfill one of my obligations and allow me to, meet legislative requirements, but to ensure that I'm providing a lot more robust reporting, or the engagement and the safety culture is hopefully only going to improve in that space. Yep. If I've got low risk, if I'm a little bit more laissez-faire when it comes down to my risk management, I'm more maybe going to look at the cost and the time away from work, and that may be a negative. And that's what I really need to work through myself, is to say the opportunities in the investment and the effective outcomes of having a rep or reps in my workplace, the impact on that on my workers is profound. Yep. And if I care about my workers, which you'd hope most all organisations do.
Hope all organisations, yes.
That the fact that it's legislative required is irrelevant. The fact that it costs money is irrelevant. Yeah. The fact that it's just the right thing to do to look after their team should just be a no-brainer.
Okay.
And I'll stand on that hill till I die. That to be a good person, a good worker, a good employer, you need to look after your staff. And one of the ways of doing so is ensuring the voice of the staff is heard. And one of the best ways of doing that is having a really effective rep system.
So we've got reps. In an organisation, we've got reps. Seems to be working well. We've got a good committee. Reporting lines are clean and clear. We're getting great data. I still think we could be doing more. I still think we could be doing it better. Yeah. What advice would you give me then as a leader in an organisation to, through the rep, to even further improve the level of engagement that we've got?
You know what? Where I've seen companies just go far and beyond what their basic obligations are. Companies like ASB Bank, Auckland Airport, Auckland Council, where they've elevated the role of the rep into quite a special cohort, quite a special sort of subset of their organisation, and taken them out for a day into a conference, like all of the reps of the organisation.
Nice.
And one of the key things is embracing and introducing them to senior leadership team.
Yep.
And taking away any barriers to engagement, any barriers to communication, and going, look, here's a senior leadership team. Here's like an open morning tea.
Yep.
Just come and chat to us and be really proactive in ensuring there's just zero barriers to communication. I know ASB had an amazing event last year where all the reps were brought into a space, some additional training, really promoted the role of the rep and what they did and what they provided those individuals meant they actually felt incredibly special, really empowered, and their role was celebrated throughout the organisation from the top. Yeah. And so there was zero question around what benefit does the rep have, because it's promoted on the front page of the internet, all over LinkedIn as to, oh, look at this event we had for our reps.
Right, so celebrate your reps.
Celebrate your reps,
and provide them with an opportunity to, on an even level, speak with management, senior management. Yeah, good.
As an example, I think I saw and went, you know what, that really made a difference.
Yeah. Is it possible to have too many reps?
I think there probably is. I haven't never seen a situation where there are, but
I guess it would. The concept of a rep would fizz out if everyone was a rep.
So
clearly that's a too many.
The professional in me though says, hey, that means every single person that like 50% of your workers are reps.
Yeah.
Hey, it meant that so many people in their workplace were looking out for each other, even more so, knew what their company should be doing to keep them safe, understood the legislation, and is confident to be proactive in reporting. I don't really see the downside.
No,
logistically, it might be a bit trickier. Committee meetings might go run a bit long.
Well, because you've got too many people in the meeting, but nonetheless.
Exactly. But
and usual time frame for a rep is 3 years, I think.
Well, so you can be a rep all your life. If you are elected to, your tenure basically lasts for 3 years, and you have to be re-elected.
Yeah. Okay. And does that feel like a good piece of time, or
I think
would
it
you
does.
like that to be extended?
No, I think you find, as I said, by my percentage example, if someone volunteered to say, I'll actually stay on for another 3 years, I don't think there's going to be many people saying, no, we've got a huge line of people waiting to fill that role. So most of the time, if I want to continue, it's normally fine.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
Any final words then to either our listeners who perhaps are reps themselves, so some words of encouragement for them, or to our listeners who are wanting again to provide the sort of support that you talked about for their reps, so that they can do an even better job?
I think the health and safety rep, is an underutilized superpower of your workforce. And where I've seen it work well, it works so much better than what anyone would expect. So what good looks like is actually great.
Right.
There's like a hockey stick of momentum.
Yeah.
So an amazing rep team that work really well together, the synergy that can create, the benefits is, you can't really define or expect what it is. It's not linear. It's incredible what it is.
It's exponential.
Yeah, exponential. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So that's what the advantages of investing in that rep space. By not having an effective rep team, you're doing yourself as your company a really disservice by not engaging with the team correctly or the most effectively. Get over the perceived negativity of having a rep that you think they're going to cause you more issues, cost you more money, be a really annoying voice. They're just the voice of the worker. And so if you had actually asked all those people in a really safe environment, that's probably what all of them are going to talk about and say. And they're going to uncover things that you as the owner, the management team, had no idea about. And the only way you're going to get that information, that reality, is by having an effective rep team.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Final word from me then would be you've come the whole way. So started as a rep, and now you're a health and safety professional. It's taken a few years.
It has,
but it's been quite a ride,
it's been a great journey.
Yeah, brilliant. We really appreciate having you here with us today. Appreciate your time. Pleasure. Always enjoy chatting with you.
Too,
ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you found our speaker today, Craig Bleakley, found his expertise of interest to you. We, or on behalf of EMA, I should say, really, really appreciate you spending time with us. My name was Kevin Chambers. This was the Health and Safety podcast by EMA. As always, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.